What's up? What's up? What's up, y'all? This is Joey Womack, founder, CEO of Goodie Nation, coming to you with another amazing edition of Prequel Origin Stories and Inflection Points. You're in for an absolute treat again today as we kick off November. We have some stories from some amazing entrepreneurs from really all over North America, quite honestly. So you'll probably laugh a little bit. You'll probably see a little bit of yourself within them. And here's why it's important. So at Goodie Nation, we're focused on what we call the relationship gap. Now, this is the lack of connection between entrepreneurs and those that are influential in business, particularly in tech. Now, lack of connection to influential people in business leads to things like a harder time getting funding, but it also leads to harder times getting talent to hire, getting customers, getting advice on a professional level, which all leads to higher levels of stress for entrepreneurs and ultimately leads to a greater chance of them not realizing their potential. And we found in many cases that diverse entrepreneurs, so Black, Latinx, and women across all areas of the earth, typically have a harder time in making connections than their counterparts. And so at Goodie Nation, we designed this community to kind of combat this relationship gap or fill the relationship gap. And origin stories and storytelling are a big part of connecting with people on a human level. So we want you all to understand how they got to be where they are today. So I think you'll enjoy what you're here over the next 30, 45 minutes or so. And so before we kind of jump into their individual stories, let's kind of just get some introductions out of the way. So we'll go around the horn before we jump into the first story. Dani, I'll kick it to you. So name your company, where you're checking in from in the world, and a little bit about your company.
Hey everyone, Dani Robles. I'm with giftnabu.com, where we facilitate gifting experiences to kids like summer camps, karate classes, swim lessons, instead of toys and material items. I am based here in Atlanta.
Awesome. Olivia?
Hey everyone, I'm Olivia. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Lived, and so we are a marketplace app for beauty services. So we connect customers with nearby artists that offer beauty services. Currently, we have 3 services on the platform: makeup, nails, and hair. We launched a couple months ago, and we're based in Toronto.
Awesome. And Chris?
Hi everyone, I'm Chris. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Shimmer. We offer a one-on-one ADHD coaching for adults, and I'm currently based in Los Angeles, but I'm from Canada.
Awesome. Osi? Oh, and you're on mute.
Hi, my name is Osi. I'm co-founder and CEO at Heroshe. At Heroshe, we are building a platform that enables commerce in Africa. It enables anyone to be able to source globally and to be able to sell locally in Africa. I'm originally from Nigeria, but I'm here in Houston, Texas.
Nice. And finally, Jordan.
Hey, how's it going? My name is Jordan G. I'm the founder and CEO of WXLLSPACE. And WXLLSPACE is a marketplace platform connecting artists and real estate developers together for creative placemaking. Currently living in Atlanta, but from New York.
Nice. Cool. Well, let's get right to these stories. Excited to hear how you all got to where you are today. We want to start with Dani. So take us away and tell us how you got here.
Yeah, so like I said, Dani Robles here in Metro Atlanta. So I've been here since I was about 10 years old. Went to school here, got a degree at Agnes Scott in biochemistry, and quickly realized that lab was not for me. So I pivoted, finished my degree in biochemistry because I was too far in, and went into sales, kind of went down the sales route into fintech, enterprise sales. And then I became a mom. So I have 2 kids, a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old, here with my husband. And one of the things that I really enjoyed is listening to podcasts, one of them being Super Mamas. It's a Latina mommy podcast from 2 moms out in LA. I listen to it religiously. So earlier this year, I was listening to an episode and this guy was on. He was talking about this idea he had where he wanted to facilitate gifting experiences to kids instead of stuff. And it's something I had tried before with my eldest and failed. His birthday came around, we had a tiny condo in town, and we didn't have any space for more stuff. So we asked family and friends to gift us towards a zoo membership. But then my abuelita called and she's like, "What, you want me to bring cash to a 1-year-old's birthday party?" We dropped it, didn't go well. We got all this stuff we didn't have space for. But now hearing that he had the same idea and was as passionate as I sent him a DM. So I sent him a DM and said, "Hey, love what you're doing, love the idea, something that we're really passionate about in my household too. Here's my background. I think I can be a resource." Started working together, and then I became a co-founder. Decided to jump full time, and this is what I've been doing since June of this year. Now, the kicker is, yes, we want to do this for experiences so that those parents that don't have enough space or don't need more stuff can get those funds that their family come together and gift them in a more meaningful way. But also, there's a lot of kids that would be left without access to these experiences otherwise. I remember being in high school and busting my butt to make that high school volleyball team. And finally getting to the day that, tryouts were there and they put that name on the wall, that list of names on the wall, and I saw my name on there. But then I also saw the packet that came after that said dues were $600. So I went home and I told my parents that I did not make the team because I knew they weren't going to be able to pay for that. So now not only are we giving them, families and friends, a way to give something meaningful, we're also bringing access to those kids that would otherwise be left out. So it's something that, really, really has more meaning. And when you put in those long days, it gives you a little bit more impact. So yeah, that's my origin story.
Awesome. So how can people get in contact with you, with the company?
Yeah, they can check us out at giftnabu.com. We are getting ready for the holiday push.
Awesome. Cool. So next up we have Olivia. Olivia, how'd you get here?
Yeah, thanks so much. Hi, everyone. So to share a little bit about my origin story. So I became interested in entrepreneurship really from a young age. I was always kind of starting small businesses when I was younger around things that I was passionate about and that I could make a little bit of money from. And I think that my parents did a really good job of encouraging me. So they encouraged me to try different things, find out what I liked, and really to kind of discover my passion. So I think that had a really big impact on me when I was growing up. So they really encouraged me to try things out, really learn from them. And they made me feel like it was okay if I failed, as long as I learned something. So I think that was the key component. And so it really allowed me to try things, find out what I liked, and really what I was good at. And so I think that had a big impact on me early on. And so that's kind of where I first started getting interested in entrepreneurship. And then as I got older, I went to university. So I studied business. I went to McMaster, which is in Hamilton. So I studied commerce, and I became really interested in marketing, really because it let me be creative. So after I graduated, I moved to a digital marketing agency. And then from there, I moved to a large US marketplace. So I worked on B2B and B2C product marketing. And I worked in a corporate job for about 10 years. So didn't have startup experience, kind of worked like 2 back-to-back large US corporate jobs. And so did that for, again, about a decade. And then I left my full-time job to start Lived. And so that was a really drastic change for me, going from like a very structured corporate environment to working at a startup. And how I got interested and even started at working on the idea for Lived was really when I was in my corporate job. I had just moved to a new city, so I moved to Toronto, and I was looking for someone to do my nails. I was looking for someone that was reliable, that would do a good quality job, and someone that had a flexible schedule. And I was really having a hard time finding someone. And so if you've ever moved to a new city or, we're just looking for a new artist in your current city, you'll know how frustrating that experience can be. And so the typical path is you look through different sites, you ask friends for referrals, or you honestly just wing it and walk into a random salon. So really the process of finding artists is really tough. And so that's kind of what led me to build this experience was really just a customer pain point that was super frustrating and kind of led me on this journey.
Awesome. Yeah. that jump from structured environment to this chaotic environment of startups is a thing. I'm sure a lot of people can empathize with that. So how can people get in contact with you?
Yeah, for sure. So if you want to learn more about our journey and follow along, you can check out our website at livedapp.com or follow us on Instagram at lived_beauty.
Awesome. So Chris, you're up next. I mean, how'd you get to the point of starting Shimmer?
Yeah, I guess I'll start off with a few snippets of life of Chris as a kid with undiagnosed ADHD. So I was the one who my teacher would grab my desk and like turn it around and face it to the back of the wall in the back of the room, and I would sit by myself. Or sometimes I would have like a small special desk that was glued to the teachers in front of the room, away from everyone else. And I was kicked out of pretty much every class all the time, from elementary school to high school. And then on my report card, in this special column called effort, I always had this note that said she has so much potential if she just applied herself. And so along the way, I was always been told to stop talking, stop asking questions, stop moving, listen more, stop daydreaming. And only years and years later, this year, when I was diagnosed, did I actually learn that kids with ADHD, by the age of 12, they have 20,000 more negative messages than peers their age. Which is wild, because when you're a kid, these adults around you, they are the biggest shapers of your self-esteem, your self-worth, and your perceived place in the world. So it now, knowing what I know, it really makes me sad how many kids had their personalities and their dreams, if not squashed, potentially minimized, and they were pushed down before they really had a chance to grow. So on a very personal level, this is why we do what we're doing. But a little bit before we get there, just a quick note on ADHD. It stands for Attention Deficit Hyperactive Disorder. It's a neurodevelopmental condition where, in a nutshell, we struggle to control our focus and attention. There's a lot more in there as well, but in practice, it looks like getting distracted easily, losing sense of time, losing keys is often one that people like to quote, and sometimes just focusing too hard on the wrong things. But what I also want to bring out is that there are a lot of superpowers that come with ADHD that people don't know about. Things like creativity, like hyper focus, boundless energy, positivity, empathy, being there for your friends. Those are all things that many people with ADHD those are their superpowers. They're often stronger strengths than people around them. So fast forward a bit, I went on a couple divergence here. That's also can be an ADHD symptom. But this year we were pivoting in our business. We used to run support groups, and now we run ADHD one-on-one coaching. And in that was my second time I lost a bunch of structure, basically. So when I moved from consulting, I used to be a management consulting, to entrepreneurship, I lost a lot of structure. I lost a boss. Not actually losing them, but I didn't have a boss anymore. I didn't have a structure. I didn't have a schedule. Then the second time, I went from running a business with a team to downsizing to just 2 co-founders. So I lost structure again. And so in that loss of structure, that was what drove me to getting diagnosed. And so in that diagnosis, basically a massive weight was lifted. I realized that a lot of the things I went through was not because I was wrong or that I was bad at certain things, but that there was a name to it. It's called ADHD. And there's a lot of things that you can do in terms of tips and tactics to try to help you live a better life with ADHD. So that's when I started looking for solutions. I ran into a lot of walls at the time. Things were expensive. A lot of things were clinical. They were not that fun. I kept picking up and dropping different apps. I would be in 4 a.m. black holes, kind of researching the latest science or tips, and kind of getting nowhere because there's just so much out there, and I didn't really know what would apply to me. And at that time, that's actually when I met our 2 head coaches, Noel and Xenia. Oddly, just in a Facebook group, I sent a message and said, hey, I can't find good options. Who is out there that can kind of think about this with me? And so they both messaged me, we jumped on the phone, and that's where it really all began. We started exploring the question of how do we make ADHD care more fun, less expensive, more guidable, and more about the whole person. So essentially we took all of the kind of challenges we saw and the solutions that were out there, and then we re-pieced them back together. So that's how we got to what we offer today, which is basically one-on-one ADHD coaching that is 5 to 10 times more affordable than what's out there. And we are continuously trying to also make it kind of more fun and more bite-sized and more strength-based than anything else that is out there right now. So long-winded journey of going from when I was probably 3 to 5 years old, until finally now in my late 20s getting diagnosed, and the entire journey that comes with it. So now I'm excited to be in a better place with my ADHD, and to be working on something that I love a lot. So thank you so much, Joey, for having me here.
Yeah, so one, I mean, beautiful story. It definitely flow well together. I mean, I love it. I mean, and wow, you talk about 20,000 negative messages. Man, I can only imagine. I can only imagine. And you're absolutely right around the impact on young people, on their self-esteem and so much more. So one, thank you for the work that you're doing. How can people get in contact with you if they want to use you, they want to support or anything like that?
We're at shimmer.care on Instagram, or you can email us hi@shimmer.care. Website's also simple, shimmer.care.
Nice. Good stuff. Okay, so next up we have Osi.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Joe. And Chris, thank you for what you're doing, because I was one of those kids that was quite very hyperactive, and I know what that experience can be like. I appreciate the work that you're doing. My name is Osi, and I'll go back to how I came here. I'm originally from Nigeria, as I mentioned in my intro. Came here in the 90s, finished high school here, finished college here, and started life here. So something happened that was quite very impactful in 2006 for me. That was at a time when I had left the job I was working and ventured into business, was doing real estate. And then 2007 happened, 2008 happened, and everything was gone, right? All our life savings, everything was put into real estate. Not very prudent. Everything was gone, and including the home we had, gone. So pretty much I and my wife, who was about 7 months pregnant, lost everything, moved back home with parents, and life started all over again. So it was at that point that we had roughly about $500 left in our bank account. And we found a local store that was doing some sales on some fragrances, some body lotions and the likes. And we purchased a good chunk of them, found an alternative way of shipping, not using FedEx, DHL, UPS, and shipped it to my sister-in-law in Nigeria. She helped us to sell these items and send the money back. And we did this a few times. And that was pretty much how we supported ourselves during this period, to be able to take care of ourselves, and the kid that just came. So after that period, I was able to get back on my feet, and we moved left Houston and went to my new job place. Then was there for a while, completely forgot about this experience of life and just continued with life. Then coming around 2012, my sister-in-law, the same person that helped us to sell those items, reached back out. She needed help to be able to find things in the US to be able to sell locally. And she reached out. We started helping her to source for goods using the same alternative method that we used to ship previously, to ship it out to her. And she was able to establish her business and got up and started running. So when we thought about it, we were like, okay, this thing that helped us to sustain ourselves during the period when we're at the low end has also helped her to be able to get up and running and starting her business. So it was when it dawned on us that there is something here that we can be able to expose to the general public. At that point, she started telling other people, and other people started telling other people. That was how the idea just kind of birthed itself, that the people needed an easy way to be able to source for products in the US and to be able to sell locally in their local market. And we started building out a platform to be able to do that. So in essence, the problem we're solving is so that anyone that lives anywhere, particularly right now in Africa, can be able to source anything from the US and be able to sell anywhere locally. And for us, it means so much because we know how much that impacted us, because we were able to leverage that to essentially maintain a living for a long period of time. We know how that impacted our sister-in-law, who was able to use that to set up her business and get running. So our thought process is, if it can work for us and can work for her, it can work for so many people and leave so many people out of poverty and put them in a much better place. So that's why we're doing what we're doing at Heroshe. And that's how we came to do what we do at Heroshe.
Nah, good stuff. Good stuff, man. I love it. Innovation comes in times of discomfort, right? Innovation comes in times of discomfort. I love it. How can people get in contact with you?
You can reach me on LinkedIn. I'm usually very active on LinkedIn. And of course, you can get onto heroshe.com to check out what we do at Heroshe.
Nice. Cool. Well, last but not least, we have Jordan. You know the drill, sir. How'd you get here?
Yeah. So my story is fairly interesting. But originally, my first business or two would be one, washing cars throughout high school. Washes probably middle school and high school, and then a few trips, a few family road trips down to Florida. We would get some fireworks, and I ended up selling fireworks to neighborhood kids throughout, middle school and high school. So I would say that's really where my initial entrepreneur journey started. Once I went to college, ideally didn't really know what I wanted to go to school for. Ended up going to Stony Brook University for sustainable studies. I just ended up picking a random degree. Ended up getting into Stony Brook, and there's a campus out in the Hamptons. There's Southampton campus, and it was focused on sustainable studies. During the summers there, I ended up working for some people in real estate. Ended up driving for a few of these big real estate executives that own their firms in Manhattan, and basically come out for the weekend and enjoy the times of their second homes and their beach homes and stuff like that. So I ended up answering an ad on Craigslist for someone who wanted a driver for the weekend, and this was kind of Uber wasn't really as popular then, especially around the Southeast, around the Hamptons, like out east. So after I ended up driving a few of them, ended up started working for them, interning. I changed my degree to real estate, and then ended up doing real estate for 10 years, private equity investments. So I really got a good understanding about how those deals were put together. However, I was also a creative, and frequented Miami for Art Basel. I love street art. So basically, just fast forward again. Once I got to the beginning of the pandemic, I was really, really fascinated with this idea of implementing street art with real estate. And what I wanted to do was figure out a way where we can get artists connected to walls for public art, for creative placemaking. I moved at that time as well. I moved to New Rochelle, and they were doing New Rochelle, New York, and they were doing a master plan and developing a bunch of properties in the area, and they were implementing 8 new murals. So I went on to the board, and I went to ask with the building department, how can I find walls for you guys so we can put really great artists in front of the community. And there's a bunch of ladies there that truthfully didn't really have a good grasp on how to do both. So it kind of led me down the path of developing a platform that could really connect artists and real estate developers together for public art. So it was definitely a great journey. But I'm ultimately super happy now that everything happened the way it did, because I feel like it really helped me get a good grasp on what I'm doing and what I'm prepping for. And now we're building out some really cool installations all over the US with artists from all over the world, and it's been a really great experience so far.
Now, excuse me, that's a pretty cool, man. I mean, I love the randomly picking a major and stuff like that, but also how it transitioned into what you're doing now in the intersection of real estate and street art. I think is super cool. Before we, I'm going to send you emails, by the way, but remind me to talk to you about the Invest Atlanta Creative Industries grant coming up. If they're watching, they could probably send it to you as well. But yeah, good stuff, man. It's super cool, super cool. So, how can people get in contact with you?
Super active on LinkedIn, Jordan Giha, or you can reach out to us on wallspace.com, WXLLSPACE. And my email is just jg@wallspace.com.
Nice. Cool. Okay. So listen, y'all, I mean, I told you in for a treat. You got a treat. Stories from some amazing founders. Hopefully, again, you see a little bit of yourself, and then whether you're it's a kid, an adult, or anything like that. I mean, I think we can all see a little bit of ourselves in at least one of these stories, right? So my thing to you is to like I want to ask, and that ask is simply to support them. So here's the thing: they told you how to get in contact with them. You can also find a little bit more about them on our website at goodienation.org and our page on Intentionally Good. The ask is to support in one of a few ways. Essentially, what I'm going to ask you to do is to help at least one of these founders. At Goodie Nation, we have an initiative called the Theo Cavaness Help a Founder Initiative, and so here are a few different ways you can help. Right, one, they may be looking for investment. So if you provide capital or anything like that, and what they're in their story or what they're working on really interests you, please feel free to reach out. Again, either given the information they provided, or you can go to this page and click on their card, kind of search for their name, click on their card, and get introduced that way. Two, if you can purchase from them, right? Or know someone that does, simply reach out to them and connect. Perhaps you can make an intro to them from a partnership or something like that. Now, again, it depends on where you are in life and your specialty to see if you can kind of fill in that way. You can help in that way. That being said, I feel confident that if you're watching this or listening to this, someone that can support them in one of those ways, right? Either they can invest, they can buy, they can give them advice, they can partner or something to that effect. So if you could spend like at least 30 minutes looking through your network, seeing if someone in your community, your personal network and community can help them, that's how we move forward, right? You go from doing that like today and then consistently doing that over 3 to 6 months. You go from action to habit. When enough people have this habit around helping founders, especially that are diverse, we start to develop a group behavior, which eventually turns into a group culture around supporting founders and closing the relationship gap. This is what we mean when we say being intentionally good, right? Being intentionally good. So again, my call to action for you is to figure out if you could help them out, advice, investment, or purchase, or something to that effect. So this has been another amazing edition of Prequel Origin Stories by Goodie Nation. I am Joey Womack, founder and CEO. Until next month, y'all, peace out. And again, support those founders and be intentionally good. This is Tech Done Right. We'll see you later.